Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, I'll be able to keep my connection through the talk. If not, you can see it on Teacup Philosophy later or the Facebook page that Ashley mentioned earlier. So, this morning, dogs and chocolate. How does that come together? Well, traditional religions stress the personality of their version of God, often casting the illusion that their God mirrors the moods of people. Their God has fits of depression and anger, needs constant praise and attention, then occasionally pulls off some miracle and expects the rest of us to space on everything else. Only this version of God could create, on one hand, dogs, the most lovable and loyal creatures on earth, and chocolate, a universal treat in all its many forms, then make the latter fatal to the former. I had a terrier when I was young, and we had been gifted a 5-pound box of See's chocolate candy. Now, if you ever lived on the West Coast, you know that See's is the premier chocolate candy there. They had their own stores, and it was a real special treat on a Sunday to go there after church and get a 1-pound box. And we had been gifted a 5-pound box, and then had gone off to visit some relatives in the area and came home to find the box open on the floor and the little individual wrappers scattered all about, and our precious dog in terrible distress. He survived, but it was an extremely frightening experience and not something I wish on anybody. However, I'm sure he enjoyed it in the moment, and until the consequences set in. Only this version of God revealed through the science of mind does not suffer a hypocrisy of this sort. As we understand spirit, both dogs and chocolate exist, but spirit is not responsible for chocolate. This delectable treat exists only because humans turned cocoa beans into a previously non-existent form through a series of cascading choices. Without human intervention, no self-respecting dog would ever taste a cocoa bean in the wild and think, I gotta eat all this stuff I can find. The version of spirit or God that could allow dogs to encounter an unrestricted supply of chocolate without human intervention can only exist where the concept of duality is believed. Holmes writes in The Science of Mind that belief in duality has made man sick, and the understanding of unity will heal him. You see, duality is believing that there is a power of good and a power of evil, locked in an eternal struggle for rule over the universe. Science of mind has peeled back the falseness of that belief with just a few simple questions. Your Honor, if it please the court, before questioning this witness, I would like to enter into the record the following stipulations agreed to by opposing counsel. Number 1, God is all powerful. Number 2, God can do anything. Number 3, God is self-aware. Number 4, God can intervene on our behalf, especially in determining who wins football games. And number 5, humans are made in God's image. Now, you say the God you teach is all powerful. So how is it there can be another power? This evil power that is the cause of so much mischief. Science of mind has revealed the truth that God is indeed all-powerful, is indeed the one power, infinite, being without beginning or end, thus occupying all space and time, meaning this other power, evil, is where exactly? Science of mind puts evil solely in the minds, small m, of humans. A consequence of free choice, the one power gifted to humans upon creation, with God signing over all rights from the beginning of time through perpetuity to exercise discretion when creating from our beliefs. Any evil created is a product of our belief, manifested without judgment by a loving God. You say the God you teach can do anything, yet it seems helpless in the face of this other evil power. How is it this all-powerful can do anything God is so vulnerable? Science of mind has revealed we are barking up the wrong tree when we expect God to face down a non-existent threat. In baseball, the pitcher causes the ball to fly in unpredictable ways, fooling the batter into swinging when the ball is not there to be hit. Our free-thinking minds send curveballs and sliders over home plate all the time. It is not God's fault for missing the ball. It was never there to be hit. You tell us the God you teach is self-aware, yet being self-aware, thus fully cognizant of its own greatness, how is it the God you teach demands constant praise and devotion from humans who have been cast out of the Garden of Eden in a fit of rage propagated by failing a loyalty test established for no other reason than to set up that failure? Science of mind shows us a God whose only pitch is a soft lob straight down the middle of the plate. Any failure to hit a home run is due to the batter's lack of skill, not any trickery in the pitch. Science of mind teaches us that a self-aware God or spirit exists in a state of grace, unable to cast judgments on we mere humans, because its love-driven constructive nature does not allow it to act destructively. Science of mind has revealed that this self-aware God can only create from its own involution, relying on our beliefs to direct the form of those creations. Science of mind says God acts on our beliefs. If we truly believe in our ability to win a competition, God does create the sense of discipline required to seek out and practice proper training and conditioning, but God is not betting on the outcome and gives willingly to both sides. Humans are created in God's image. The confusion arises when so many flip the concept, thinking God is created in the image of man. Humans have free choice, all rights thereto having been surrendered by God, as noted earlier. Free choice opens doors for all manner of unfounded thinking, leading to unimaginable consequences. Humans choose to be petty, mean, greedy, moody, or oblivious. These are not attributes of God. We are demonstrating our oneness with God when we reach down to lift others out of the mud, when we give without expecting thanks, when we are grateful for no particular reason. Holmes writes in the book again, there is no record of any great thinker who has taught duality. This teaching of unity, the Lord our God is one God, is the chief cornerstone of the sacred scriptures of the East as well as our own sacred writings. It is the mainspring of the teachings of modern philosophy such as unity teachings, the New Thought movement, the occult teachings, the esoteric or inner teachings, and of our own religious science, and even much that is taught under the name of psychology. People who think it through seem to arrive at similar conclusions. The language is reflective of their times and the medium tailored to their audience, but the truths filter through and complement each other. One infinite power. We exist in unity with it. Our experience is reflective of our belief. Now, I have not personally studied all the writings of all the world's religions, but the one commonality among them is that at some point the words were recorded by human beings. My mainstream Christian upbringing has given me some familiarity with the Christian Bible, whose Old Testament, I am told, closely reflects the Jewish Torah before introducing the updated slant on the message through the teacher Jesus in the New Testament. The human influence becomes evident when inconsistencies pop up. Now, in an article called Top 20 Most Damning Bible Contradictions by Bob Seidensticker in October of 2018, he points out a few, and I'm just selected a couple here for illustration. He has here that Jesus said, I pray also for those who believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. I have given them the glory that you gave me, that they may be one as we are one, I in them and you in me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. This from the book of John. Again, I appeal to you that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be perfectly united in mind and thought, from the first book of Corinthians. Bob writes that that's a nice thought, but has any prayer failed more spectacularly? Christianity is more than just Roman Catholics and Baptists and Methodists and maybe a few more. There are, by his count, more than 45,000 denominations of Christianity, and still counting. And yet Jesus said, in mind and thought, be perfectly united. Bob writes again that God made an everlasting covenant with Abraham, but then he tore that one up and made another one with Moses. An everlasting covenant, torn up and replaced. The New Testament continues the confusion. He writes, it can't decide whether to look backward and honor existing law or tear it up yet again, because it says both. First, Jesus commits to existing law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. And then writes, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel and with the people of Judah. That's from the book of Hebrews. These religious tomes have all been influenced by translation upon translation and the politics of their time. And though traditional teachings push loving thy neighbor and forgiveness in one form or another, they also seem to find justification for all manner of atrocity in their pages when their human choices demand it. Holmes writes again in the textbook, man chose to depart from God, good, and man alone must choose to return to it. God lets him alone, for he is a free agent and may do as he wills with himself. When a man decides to return to his father's house, he will find his father is still there. God's creation is perfect, and we must awake to this fact and know that we are now in the kingdom of heaven. We often use the example of light as revelation of spiritual grace. We can block the light, step behind a wall, or be subjected to a passing cloud, but the light is still there. Step into an opening or get above the cloud and we find the light waiting for us without judgment. No demand for our hall pass or excused absence form. Just take your seat and we'll move on with the lesson. But God does not force us to step out from the wall nor keep us under the cloud. God does let us stay there for as long as we like. If we choose to live in an unlit bomb shelter, God is likely to provide an ample supply of bombs for us to worry about. And we mistakenly wonder why God is so cruel as to make chocolate taste so good to dogs. If we think we can guide our brother aright, Holmes writes, while our feet still walk in darkness, we are mistaken. Can we teach a lesson we have not learned? Can we give that which we do not possess? To suppose so is hypocrisy, a thing to be shunned. Jesus tears the mantle of unreality from the shoulders of hypocrisy, winnowing from the soul of sham and hollowness its last shred of illusion. We cannot see reality until our eyes are open, until the light of eternal truth has struck deeply into our own souls. A national park ranger was asked why it is so difficult to design a bear-proof trash can. Thought a moment, said, there appears to be a considerable overlap between our smartest bears and our dumbest tourists. Likewise, we might recognize a portion of our population willing to do anything toward their selfish ends, overlapping with that portion of our population susceptible to manipulation for a variety of reasons. We must take the stick out of our own eye, as the teacher Jesus said. We cannot see if we are blinding ourselves. Change our perspective and retest our hypothesis. Does it still hold true, or has the result changed? If it has changed, are we willing to adjust our belief? Or do we just keep the stick in our eye and keep believing the same thing, regardless of the new evidence set before us? It seems common these days for people to be telling of difficult transitions through the COVID-19 shutdown. And of course, many have experienced severe disruption of their lives and financial hardships. My focus here is on those who've been able to work or school from home and manage to maintain the thread of their before times life. On reflection, their only real hardship has been that normal experienced an evolutionary shift. that they were not prepared for. There are always curveballs and sliders coming our way. Sometimes we just need to let the ball go by or be willing to swing big and miss. Even the best batters in the game are wrong 2/3 of the time. And those are just the ones who get to play at all. In the glossary of the Science of Mind textbook, Holmes defines hell: a discordant state of being, a belief in duality, a sense of separation from God, a belief that our good is always to be and never is. He reminds us hell is not a location. Remember, God created cocoa beans, but humans, not dogs, created chocolate. Thank you. Marzia, when I'm putting my talks together, a lot of times they start with just a fragment of a thought, and I'll write it down on my word processor, and then it'll sit there and kind of stew and marinate for days or hours or however long it is before I start to flesh it out. And a lot of times I'll write down several little thoughts and see are they working together? Are they two different talks? What's going on? And there's one other thing I just jotted down this last week, partially because of just what's going on in our world. And there's a famous saying by I don't know what you call it, a poem or a verse or whatever, from Martin Niemöller, I think is how he writes his name. And I just paraphrase it here, and I want to share it with you because I just want to share what I've been thinking this last week from the events in the news. And if you just allow me a moment, he using his as a base. They came for a woman's right to privacy, but I still have my gun, so I did not care. They came for the right to love without judgment, but I still have my gun, so I did not care. They came to force their misguided beliefs on our schools, but I still have my gun, so I did not care. They came for the right to vote, but I still have my gun, so I did not care. Then one day they came, and their gun was bigger than mine. There's no one left to care.